No. Hey. Hey. We're seeing the real him today. It only took us 8 weeks. What's up guys, Dave with Miracle Canine Training here. A lot of people ask me about feeding routines with multiple dogs. I talk a lot about socializing your dogs with other dogs. I talk about multi-dog household management a lot, and we talk about controlling resources, right? Food, toys, affection being the big three that dogs will typically compete over. So a lot of people ask me, well, do I just have to feed my dogs separately all the time? Can I never give them toys? Can I never share affection with them like I want to with my dog over here? Things like that. Not the case. The biggest thing we have to establish first with them is control over the resource. So I want to share with you guys how I go about feeding all 4 of my dogs. None of them have e-collars on right now or anything. That's because I've patterned in these behaviors and I've taught them what's expected of them in all of these different moments. I'm filming myself here, so bear with me obviously as we go about doing this, and I'll kind of show you guys what that process looks like. All right, so I got my bowls here, got my food here. All I'm gonna do is start scooping out food, placing bowls down one at a time, and making sure that these dogs understand that this food is mine until I give it to them, right? So again, no weight. I don't care if they sit, I don't care if they down, I don't care what they do in these situations. I just want to make sure they're not going for that food, right? So if you look around, you got the dogs. You can tell she's thinking about it there. You can tell everybody else is waiting. From there, okay. They all go to their individual bowls and they all eat their food. And then I supervise. At this point, it's my job to make sure if he gets done with his, that he doesn't go over to her and try to steal hers, vice versa, vice versa, vice versa. Now, if you guys know my history, these two used to get into fights with each other. This was an important thing we needed to establish with them, was control over resources, and making sure it didn't create any problems. So we're gonna watch them finish, and then we're gonna see what happens. And then from there, once bowls are done, I pick them up, make sure I monitor the other guys. And they know at this point that they can't mess with the other dogs while they're eating. Again, might be a little curious, but I'm here to supervise and make sure that it doesn't turn into any sort of problems. Same deal. Pick up that bowl, pick up that bowl. And we're good to go. That's how I feed my dogs every day. Look at that. It's like a pumpkin ho-ho. You know what I love about Little Debbie's is the bread that they use. So soft, you know?
Sponge.
Phenomenal. That they're over it. They're trying to get away. Maybe they're giving a little air snap or something like that. And the other dog's respecting those cues. That's my job to step in then and correct that dog for it. So they realize, hey, you got to respect that. You got to back off before my other dog feels like this isn't working. I need to ramp it up and give a bigger correction, and then it turns into a problem. Right? And the more our dogs start seeing us handle those things for them, the more they're going to start looking to us when those stressful things happen, and their threshold will actually increase, right? Because they're going to start trusting in us to handle it, so they're not going to get themselves into that state of mind again. Wow, we got one paw. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad. It just blows my mind that people think this is like an on-off switch process, right? Every time we post these nail trim videos, people are like, the dog's still stressed out. Look at her, she's so stressed, you're making it worse, you're being so abusive. The abuse thing kills me. I always ask them, I'm like, can you please let me know what your definition of abuse is and how what I'm doing in this video defines abuse? Because right now I'm literally just grinding the dog's nails. I'm literally just holding the dog's paw. I'm literally, in half the time before I even did anything, she was freaking out from me just going to touch the paws, not even from doing anything. Then you factor in, these nails are so long, this is so unhealthy for the dogs. Their joints are all fucked up in their paws because they're so long, they're pressing against the floor all the time, right? And now we have her where I'm able to go through and grind all of them. And yeah, she's still stressed, but nothing's happening, right? She's learning that literally what I'm doing is not that bad, right? Me picking up the paw and taking this, just touching it. It's not that bad. And they look so much freaking better. And over time, as I do this again, and I do this again, and I do this again, we'll start next time with less resistance than we started with this time, right? She probably still won't like it. She'll probably still be a little bit stressed out. So next time we'll start with her less stressed out, right? And we'll be able to get them done with less fight, which will decrease the stress a little bit. And then the time after, she'll start even a little less stressed out and less fight. And then it goes on until the dog becomes neutral to it. We've done this with so many dogs at this point. And we've seen that progression so many times. But you gotta get past this initial roadblock of them just thinking something bad is gonna happen, whether it's because something actually did or not, and just teaching them they have to learn how to accept this first. From there, we can create a more positive association with it. It's kind of a trust in the handler exercise too, where I'm showing her by working through this hurdle that I'm not gonna lead her into a situation that's going to actually be scary, right? These things she thinks are scary, if she faces them and overcomes them because I'm asking her to do so, that it's gonna be okay. That wasn't so bad. It really wasn't. Just take this guy off of you. And then they say, what do they say? They say, let's see you do it without the muzzle on. I always hear that one all the time. Yeah, you couldn't do that if you didn't have the muzzle on. Well, you couldn't do half the things that you're doing without the treats, right? Like, of course, it's a training tool. But guess what? As she gets less stressed out, we'll be able to get away with doing this without it. They're so comfortable, though, that I'm not mad about it. All my giblets are falling off of them. I used to have them all over, now I just got a couple. They're the Charlie Brown Christmas ones, if you can't tell.
Wow, those are nice.
I bought them in Hawaii. To start.
I like Crocs.
Yeah.
Croc gal.
Listen, I'm team Crocs.
Me too.
They're like the most comfortable shoes on the planet. But it's funny, I got in my car to come to work this morning, and I got halfway here, and I looked down, and I was like, did I literally not put regular shoes on?
No, I got fuzzy Crocs, regular Crocs.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about investing in the fuzzy ones for winter this year. So I'm a new Crocs lover. So this is my first pair of them, and I think I got them maybe a year ago. So yeah, I'm committed now. I like it.
Our property manager at our apartment complex said that neighbors complimented him how well behaved he is. I'm like, oh my God, it's a miracle. So,
That's pretty cool.
It's called miracle training.
Yeah, right?
He's been doing really good. I got a long leash, like a 20-foot one, so I had him out outside. We've been doing that with the calm.
Yep.
Bed stays look good.
She's actually dropping the leash and walking away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's been no major.
No. He also let me cut his nails.
Nice.
I didn't do all 4 because it wasn't really necessary, but I, you know, tried it at home and it was no problem.
Good.
So, yeah.
All right.
So he's been doing good.
I like it.
Funny how like that was like the most painful session, but it was the most rewarding. Now he sits. It's so funny. This is like the first session in a while where he's not shaking and doing his yawning thing
I know.
that he does.
He's got his little happy boy smile on.
It makes me laugh. It reminds me of all the times I've had to chase him down the street.
He's a real dog now.
Oh, it used to make me so anxious. I'm worried after this training because I feel like with a lot of things I let things like blur together.
Sure. You just have to ask yourself, right? So what is the expectation of the thing you're asking him to do, right? Whatever it may be, right? You've got a handful of commands, right? He knows his come command, he knows his bed command, he knows his sit command, right? And no obviously means to stop doing what he's doing. So if you're gonna ask any one of those commands, you just have to ask yourself, what is the expectation of this command in this moment, right? Come means stay in the bubble, right? Or if he's away from you, to come into the bubble, right? Sit means butt on the ground, right? Bed means get on the bed. So as long as you're not deteriorating and like teaching that sit means sit for half a second, then get up, then I'm just gonna tell you sit again, right? As long as come doesn't start turning into stay with me, but if you wanna leave for a second to sniff this for a minute, you can, you know what I mean? If you don't start shifting the meaning of the commands, then he'll be fine. So you kind of just got to check yourself with it, right? And every now and then, you know, if you start noticing he's having issues with something, with whatever it may be, just like take a step back, right? And be like, what am I doing wrong, right? What am I asking him to do? And what am I enforcing? And do they align? I think it looks awesome. I think it looks really good. I think any issues you're having at this point, you're very aware of what they are, you know what I mean? And you know what to do to solve them. It's just a matter of just being a little bit more disciplined to do it, you know? A couple things that you could tighten up that'll go a long way. Obviously, we talked the barking, people coming in, right? Giving better direction on the walk, so enforcing that position more strictly as opposed to it being a little loose. That'll help get rid of any remainder issues that you're having on the walk. Your off-leash walking like we did, you could work that in new places. Try to tighten that up a little bit, obviously. And just keep pushing distractions and stuff. I mean, everything else, like, he's done great with. I mean, we couldn't even get him to stay in one spot for literally a second. You know what I mean? Like, that was, like, very challenging for him. and he's come a long way with it. So I'm very pleased with how he's done.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Glad I came here.
Yeah. Do you have any last questions you could think of on anything? Biggest end spiel I always give everybody is a couple things. One, training lasts forever, so you know this is never going to just stop, right? Now you don't need to dedicate all this time to it by any means, but you know, long term, you know, if you stop enforcing stuff, he's not going to listen anymore. You know what I mean? That's the way this works. Reinforcement goes away, behavior goes away, right? So a couple things I always do with my dogs just to make sure I never fall into a trap of like not, you know, enforcing things and having things diminish and stuff like that is I make sure I put the e-collar on in 3 big situations. So if I have guests come over, if we go anywhere public, or if we go off leash anywhere, and just by putting it on in those 3 situations, if you do nothing else, you'll never be in a position to not address a major problem, right? Because if he's gonna blow you off anywhere, it's gonna be in one of those 3 situations, right? Third thing, e-collar use lasts forever. Again, I still use them with my dogs. As long as you use it in those 3 situations, you shouldn't really need it anywhere else, right? And third thing is like, you're gonna go through, I mean, he's a young dog, right? You're gonna have probably a rough month or year with him at some point where it's like you just don't do that much, right? You don't train him that much, you fall off the wagon a little bit, this and that. The cool thing about training is it's not like this use it or lose it thing, right? It's not like if you don't use it for 2 months, like everything goes away and you have to teach everything all over again. We see dogs we worked with 5 years ago, 6 years ago that the owners didn't do anything for the last 1.5 years and they come in for a brush up and within a couple minutes the dog is looking great again, right? So as long as you always become aware of what we talked about on the walk, which is like whatever you're asking him to do, this is the expectation of that thing. This is how we back that thing up and enforce that thing. At any point, if you fall off the wagon a little bit, you could go back in and easily fix those things again, right? And then, you know, last thing I always tell everybody, we're pretty loose about like follow-up support and stuff. So if you're running into any sort of issues or anything, don't hesitate to reach out, obviously. So I think it looks great.
Great experience.
Okay.
but we still have multiple times a week where we'll take him for a walk. He's been corrected at a high level several times. And if we see dogs, we give him space and he's fine. And then a dog just gets in his bubble.
And it just sets him off.
Jumping and snarling and growling. Kyle got bit this week. I mean, he just... And, like, it's just frustrating because, like, he's been corrected and...
I get it.
It just... We don't know what else to do.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's go work around the apartment today and see if we see anything there. You know, like I said, we got a couple things that I got in kind of the back seat as far as what we can implement if we need to. I just wanted to see if we could see a little bit more of it, though. You know what I mean? How consistent is the big reactions you see out of him?
I would say we have like a jumping, snarling, I'm afraid I might get bit,
Yeah.
at least 2 to 3 times a week.
I gotcha.
So it's not every time we go out, and it's really only, I think, when he feels like a dog is in his bubble.
Yeah.
So not always on
Take the leash from you.
Like too close.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk him around a little bit here. We're gonna see if we see anything different. So, we'll let this guy pass by here first. Here, bud. We're gonna get nice and close here.
We probably won't do it for you.
Perfect, Angel. Okay. Okay, so we'll walk him around. We're gonna see if we see anything different here, obviously. So, again, I believe you guys, obviously. It's not that I think you're lying about this by any means. So reactivity obviously can be tough sometimes because there's so many factors that go into it, and sometimes like when they're in their like home territory, it's just more intense. You know what I mean? And I have this relationship with him of like solely training and stuff, so it'll be a little bit better behaved around me than with you guys, and sometimes it can be difficult for you guys to replicate, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna walk around a little bit. I think what the magic solution with him is going to be the bonker. So basically what this is a rolled up towel that for some dogs with reactivity is like game changer, right? So basically what I would do if he were to start totally freaking out is take this thing and just throw it at him. Right? So the idea behind it, similar to with the pet corrector, but much more effective, is dogs startle easily, obviously, right? And things flying quickly in their direction is like end of the world, right? So we've seen some dogs. I had this Rottweiler I worked with one time, Hank, and same deal. This dog, we did a board and train with him. He did pretty good in the board and train, still had some reactivity issues, tried a couple different things with him, couldn't totally get a handle on it. We bonked him 2 times. He's literally never full on reacted at a dog since. Like, and this is like a 100-pound Rottweiler. Like the lady was basically ready to like get rid of this dog and stuff. And now she posts like every other day. She's like at the park having picnics with him and like doing all this kind of stuff. So it can be crazy effective with some dogs. And the cool thing about it, different than the pet corrector or different than the e-collar, is that like just like once you've done it once or twice and they've established like, whoa, like I don't like that thing and I want to avoid it, you just like walking around with it like this is like enough of a deterrent where they're just like on my P's and Q's, right? So we'll see what we get, right? We'll walk them around a little bit, see if we see any reactivity or anything like that. So one thing right off the rip I'm noticing with both of you guys, you're much looser with your walk here than you are when I've seen you guys walk him at the facility. So he's getting significantly further ahead. He's kind of going off to the side a little bit and stuff. And I want you guys tightening that up much, much more. So he should be at your side while you guys are doing this and staying nice and focused in.
I thought you said it was okay if he was a little bit in
So-
front as long as he's like in your bubble.
So I don't mind if he's like a foot ahead of you, right? A foot and a half ahead of you and maintaining perfect pace with you. The problem with what he's doing now is he's like going ahead and then slowing down, then going to the side, then slowing down. You know what I mean? So it's kind of all over the place and not staying in one consistent pace. Let me see. Let me see your leash here. Perfect. All right, so we saw it for the first time. All right, so what we're gonna do in a second as soon as this runner goes by is I'm gonna start walking. Before we make the bend here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bonk him, right? So we're preemptively doing it, we're setting the tone, right? So that, because he's never experienced it before, obviously. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna walk him around a little bit more here. We're gonna see if we see any more noticeable arousal come out of him, or if we notice a dramatic spike in that from there, right? In a lot of cases, like I said, after the first or second time, you can tell his whole state of mind is a little bit different. He's like, whoa, what's going on, right? So we're gonna see if as we pass these dogs, we see that same like kind of perked up, because you can tell as he passed the first few, he did well, but he was still a little like, oh, there's a dog over there. And it wasn't until that one dog really kind of like looked at him and did the pull towards him when it set him off, right? Come. So we'll walk around here now, we'll see what we get. So in a scenario like that, let's say like there's no like alternative or anything, you don't want to be pulling him towards you, right? Because if you're pulling towards you at that point, that's just going to cause him to turn around, right? Pulling up kind of simulates that sit position and helps kind of reduce some of that arousal right away, right? And you get a little bit more control, right? So there's no great way to do it, obviously, but you kind of just have to, as quickly as possible, regain control without it being this big battle. Down. Good. All right, guys, we're going to repeat this again next time. We'll do the same thing here again. Okay. I'll meet you guys here for it. Okay. And we're just going to keep drilling this in this environment because we haven't seen it anywhere else. And the fact that we saw it so much today is good from the standpoint of we can actually work through it in the session. You know what I mean? It's not like I came here and he was perfect and it's like, God, I got to try to coach you through what to do at home. So that's actually, I would say, positive more than anything. So we'll get past it. Like I said, I think today we got some stuff to work with here. I would start using this at the window. Get that, you really try to get that under control this week, right? And don't, I mean, like I said, like don't wimp around with it or anything. Like if you're gonna bonk him, like give him a good one. It's a towel, it's not gonna hurt him or anything, obviously. But we want him to be like scared of it, kind of, right? Stay away from the window, dude, right? So let's try to get that under control. And then next one, obviously, like I said, we'll repeat the same thing again and see if we can get a little bit more progress with it.